Revenge films.
This is a story about something that happened to me at work. We were looking for a business partner. One of our candidates was this company called A. We were planning to outsource some of our work to them. The founder of our company was friends with the father of the CEO of A. Apparently, he helped him out when he was starting up his company. They said they had about 5 members on their team. They all had years of experience in this field. We were hoping to make things more efficient. And they said they were hiring some new people too, so things were looking good. So my boss and I went to go see them for a meeting. We were meeting with the CEO himself. When we got there, the CEO and this other woman greeted us. Their names were Albert and Blair. Albert seemed really nice, and Blair was the same age as me, so we got along just fine. The meeting went well. I liked them, and I was looking forward to working with them. And my boss felt the same way. So we headed back to our office. That day, we were all working late. Then my phone rang. It was Blair's colleague, Claire. I had no idea who she was. I asked her where Blair was. She told me that she was crying right in front of her. Then she started talking. Turns out Blair wasn't even an employee there. She was still in high school. She was just working there part-time for summer vacation. But Albert told her to attend the meeting anyways. Why? Well, the thing is, some of his employees who were supposed to undertake our project quit at the last minute. But he didn't want to lose the contract, so he tried to hide it. So he asked Blair to do everything. Needless to say, she had no idea what to do. Can you blame her? She was just a high school student. So Albert was lying about Blair the entire time. He even lied about the number of employees he had. We were speechless. We didn't really know what to do. My boss seemed confused too. Then one of my colleagues said,
"Wait, you said A-Co, right? I think a friend of mine works there."
He used to work there, so he had a lot of friends at A. So he called one of his friends up and asked him what was going on. He was there for 2 months, but the company was a mess. It took him a month to get his password for his laptop, and many of his clients told him he should leave the company as soon as possible because the CEO was crazy. This one time, he dragged a janitor into the bathroom and yelled at her for hours because the hand soap was all out. Then he tried to make his clients work for free. And many of his employees killed themselves from stress. Apparently, he had multiple lawsuits on his hands. We were all speechless. So my boss called Albert and confronted him. At first, he denied it. He said it was all a lie. But after a while, he finally cracked and spilled everything. Then he hung up on us. I guess we better start looking for new partners. A few days later, Albert's father came to our company to apologize.
"I'm terribly sorry about this. He's a troubled child. He's been like this ever since I can remember. I tried helping him. I gave him some cash to start his own business, but it was no use."
I still couldn't believe it. I mean, people were dead because of him. And if we didn't find out about this, we would have signed with him. It was a terrifying thought. He was the founder's son, so we thought he was a decent person. But I guess we were wrong. Also, he wasn't even paying Blair. I felt so bad for her.
I'll handle this, dear. Don't worry.
Luckily, one of my colleagues helped her out and set things straight. How can he take advantage of a kid? Unbelievable! Anyways, she came over to see us with her parents a few days later.
I'm so sorry.
She kept apologizing to us, but none of this was her fault. So we told her not to worry. She said Albert made her work 7 hours straight every day. This was her first job ever, so she didn't know any better, I guess. She liked to draw, so she wanted to get an iPad. That's why she decided to get a job. She wanted to pay for her stuff with her own money. But Albert made her life a living hell. He yelled at her for everything. What was wrong with this guy? If anyone did that to me, I would have quit in a day. I'm actually impressed that she lasted a whole week. But his dad seemed like a decent person. So what happened? But then it all started to make sense. His dad was a very smart man, but he was very strict. He yelled at him for everything. He even got physical from time to time. And he made his wife go in and out of the house from the back door only. He was an abusive husband. He even made his son live out on the streets for a few days to teach him about the importance of money. This guy was insane. I can't believe our founder was friends with this guy. I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. After that, our company sued them for damages. Their contract was full of lies, and they caused us a lot of trouble. So we had a pretty solid case against them. Even though his dad came and apologized, Albert never showed up, so we couldn't just let it go. And our lawyer was really good. The judge ruled in our favor, and they had to pay us a huge cash settlement. He was really upset, but not my problem. I mean, did he really think we wouldn't find out about his lies? I'm so relieved we didn't sign with him. Then things finally went back to normal. A few months later, we heard his company went out of business. No surprises here. It's a miracle they didn't go out of business years ago. Apparently, he had to pay the family members of his former employees who killed themselves. He had no choice but to go bankrupt. After he lost everything, he went crazy and got thrown into a mental institution. I guess he got what he deserved. Oh well, I'm just glad it's all over. Time to get back to work. I'm Ron. I live with my wife, Allie. I lived in the countryside. I was a normal office worker. On the weekends, I usually went out to the mountains my parents left for me. And my wife was okay with it. She went to visit her parents whenever I was away. There was this shed my grandpa used to make charcoal in. It was a lot of fun making charcoal from scratch. And my grandpa made a nice road in the mountains for us, so I always drove up there with my truck. All right, let's clean up first. There was also a small house there. It was powered by solar panels. I loved this place. Coffee tastes so good out in the wilderness.
Sunny skies throughout the weekend.
I always relaxed outside, drinking coffee and listening to the radio. During autumn, I gathered mushrooms and stuff and shared them with my neighbors. Here you go. I picked them from the mountain last weekend.
Thank you, dear. You're always so kind. Here, I made some pickles. Have some.
Thanks. My wife loves them. My neighbors and I always exchanged food. It was just a way of life. But I only went up into the mountains during spring and autumn, and there was one thing that was troubling me. Damn, again? Someone's been stealing mushrooms again. People came into the mountains and took things without my permission. They didn't care about anything. They always left a mess. And they took everything that they could get their hands on. I put up signs all over the place, but it was no use. Then one day... What the hell? There was a pile of used fireworks! What if something catches on fire? How stupid are they? The place was a mess. Look at all those holes. They dug up most of the crops. There was nothing left. Who would do this? Who? That's it. It's time to take action. So I decided to do something about it. I started altering the signs on the road to confuse them. I increased the number of intersections to mislead them. Then, a few weeks later, I finally caught them. Hello? Anybody home?
Hello?
Yes? What is it? Looks like they were lost. I was burning trees, so there was a lot of smoke coming out of the shed. It was only a matter of time before they showed up. They had a bag full of mushrooms and stuff. But I didn't say anything about that. I pretended to be nice. We got lost in the mountains. Oh, how terrible. Here, come on in. Then they started talking. What's that in your bag? Mushrooms?
Yup.
That's a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm gonna share them with my friends.
Ah, I see. You come here every year?
Yeah, I've been coming here for a while now. But this year the signs got changed or something and I got lost.
I see. So you like gathering mushrooms, huh?
Yeah, it's a hobby of mine. This is one of my favorite spots.
I see. Seriously? This is private property! I wanted to smack him in his face! But I kept it together. Oh, well, let me give you guys a ride.
Thank you so much.
I went back into the house and called the police. I caught someone stealing in my mountain. Can you arrest them? Meet me at the bottom of the mountain in an hour. Ah, hey Ron.
Got it. See you in a bit.
Thanks. Keep quiet though. I don't want you scaring them away.
Gotcha.
Then I got my truck and drove up to the front. All right, let's go.
I'll hop in the back. You can ride shotgun.
Okay.
Just hold on to something, okay? The road can get pretty bumpy.
Okay.
Then, when we got to the bottom of the mountain, they saw the police car.
What the? Police?
Yeah, I called them myself.
What are you saying? I don't understand.
You've been stealing from me every year, jerk. You knew this was gonna happen. They started to panic.
The mountain belongs to everyone! Why should I get arrested for this?
Yeah, everyone does it.
Yeah, we were just hiking!
Yeah, we can talk later. Just get in the car. They just didn't get it. The mountain belongs to me. I even pay taxes on it, so it's private property. You can't just take things without my permission. That's called theft. You know how much you've been stealing from me? Whatever, the police will figure that out. Have fun in jail. Oh, and I'm also gonna sue you for damages, so see you in court. Their faces turned blue. They finally gave up and went inside the police car. A few days later, the police called me. Turns out they've been stealing from farmers all over the city. Seriously? Yeah, they told me everything. Good work, Ron. They were stealing vegetables and selling them for a profit. All the farmers in the city heard about this and thanked me. Ah, gotta love fresh vegetables. And my wife was an amazing chef. She always made me delicious meals. After that, I hired a good lawyer and sued those thieves both for damages. They had to pay me a huge cash settlement. But still, I'd say they got off easy. It takes a long time for these crops to grow, and they took out almost everything, so it's gonna take some time for them to grow back. The thing is, it wasn't just me who enjoyed spending time in the mountains. I had friends and family who loved to go up there as well, but they always called ahead.
Hey, can my family and I go up the mountains this weekend?
Sure! I didn't want to hog the mountain all to myself, and they always left some for next year. They weren't like those idiots that I got caught. It was a big mountain, so I was willing to share, as long as people followed the rules. But after what they did, even I have my limits. But now they're in jail, so hopefully I'll never have to see them again. They could have started a mountain fire, you know? Scary. And these people who don't follow the rules, they always say things like,
"The mountain belongs to everyone! Stop whining over some mushrooms!"
But they're wrong. A mountain is private property, just like my house or my car. And I put up signs everywhere, so there was no way that they didn't know. And those idiots always litter. I always had to clean up after them. It was hard to catch these people, though. It was a big mountain, and I couldn't set up cameras everywhere. I mean, if someone breaks into your house or steals your car, you're gonna call the police, right? It's the same exact thing. They probably thought they'd never get caught, but they're wrong. I can't be everywhere at once, but I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure something like this never happens again. After all, it's against the law.
We had a New Year's party at work a few years ago. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I had this boss. He was always telling me,
If you were a guy, I'd smack you!
he harassed everyone, both man and woman. He was trouble. Everyone hated him, but he was our boss, so nobody said anything. He tried to sexually harass me too, but I didn't let him. I always told him to stop. He was my boss, but I didn't care. He always asked me out on dates, but I always shut him down. He always glared at me whenever I said no. I guess he didn't like my attitude, but he didn't stop. He tried all kinds of things to make my life harder. This one time when we all went out to eat, he ordered stuff I was allergic to on purpose. I told them about my allergies beforehand, but it didn't matter. He even tried to make me eat it. I yelled at him and told him to stop. He wasn't happy about that, but I wasn't gonna let him do that to me. Then, a few months later, we had the New Year's party. He was in charge of organizing the party. He asked us where we wanted to go beforehand. I was allergic to seafood, things like crabs and shrimp, so I told him that, but he picked out a seafood restaurant on purpose. He reserved a crab special meal for everyone. The company was paying for the party, but he said if you cancel, you had to pay for the cancellation fee yourself. There wasn't a lot I could eat there, but I guess I can order food from the side menu. I didn't want to pay the cancellation fee, so I decided to go. But I wasn't looking forward to it. What was his problem anyways? This is gonna suck. Some of my colleagues who knew about my allergies stood up for me. Why did you reserve this place? You know she can't eat crabs. This is ridiculous. It's okay, I'll just order stuff I can eat. He's doing this on purpose though. I knew that, but everyone was pretty excited about the party, so I didn't want to ruin it for everybody. Then, on the day of the party, while everyone enjoyed their crab platter, I just munched on fries and pickles. Then, my boss came over to my seat. I was talking with my friends, but he sat right in front of me.
What's the matter? You haven't touched your food.
He's so annoying. I was just trying to enjoy a nice dinner with my colleagues. So I raised my voice and said, I told you I was allergic to seafood.
You shouldn't waste food, though.
He said to me. Was he even listening to me? What part of I'm allergic to seafood don't you get? If I eat too much, I could die, you know. I yelled at him.
Shut up! Get out of my face! If you were a guy, I'd smack you!
Here we go again. My colleagues were terrified. By the way, he couldn't drink alcohol, so he wasn't even drunk. Unbelievable, right? He's allergic to alcohol too, so he knows how serious allergies can be. He's just unbelievable. But he was still my boss, so I tried to be polite. But he just wouldn't listen. There was just no talking to him. So I finally snapped.
If you were a guy, I'd smack you!
Fine then! Hit me already! And he actually punched me. I went flying across the room. I passed out as I hit the floor. Right before I passed out, I heard him saying,
Ha ha! Take that! That's what you get for talking back to me!
He He seemed really happy. My colleagues were terrified. I woke up in the hospital. My colleagues were there. Ollie, you're up! What happened? That idiot! He punched you! Right. It all started coming back to me. My face was all swollen. My clothes were covered in blood. I'm so glad you're okay. I thought you were never gonna wake up. Then they started crying. I guess they were really worried about me. Then the doctor came in. He said I had a crack in my skull. I had to be hospitalized for a few weeks. My colleagues came to see me while I was in the hospital, but my boss never showed up once. I mean, I told him to hit me, but I didn't really think he'd do it. And he was laughing the entire time. I still remembered that. Anyways, a few weeks later, I was finally able to go home. I went back to work. I was a bit nervous. When I entered the office, this lady came running towards me. She started apologizing to me. What the? It was my boss's wife. She started apologizing to me for her husband. She even started crying. I'm so sorry about everything! So we sat at a nearby table and started talking. Turns out my boss got fired after the incident.
I finally got her! Man, that felt good.
But then, the director came in and smacked him in his face.
Do you realize what you've done?
Then he pinned me down. He tried to run away, but the other colleagues held him down with him. Then someone called 911. It was a mess. Needless to say, he got arrested for assault. The police actually wanted to talk to me, and some of the colleagues was diagnosed with PTSD after that. I heard one of them quit. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, and my boss actually tried to bring me some flowers once, but he saw my dad, got scared, and ran off. My dad wasn't scary at all. He just looked scary. Then, when he went home, how dare you! How could you do that to a woman? I'm done with you! Then she left him. I was feeling much better now, but I was still going to press charges. What he did was unforgivable, and he's gonna pay. I told the police everything. I even told them that he picked out a seafood restaurant on purpose, knowing that I was allergic. Plus, he was sober, so there was absolutely no excuse for what he did. A few months later, he got sent to prison. Needless to say, he paid me a huge cash settlement for damages. I had insurance, but still, being hospitalized for a few weeks set me back a lot, so after that, things went back to normal. A few years later, I met someone at work, got married, and quit my job. I'm just glad it's all over. Honestly, I never thought he'd actually hit me. Whatever, time to move on with my life.
Hi, my name is Sherry. I just found out I am pregnant. My husband and I have been trying for a baby, so we were both thrilled about the news. Luckily, my morning sickness isn't bad. After discussing it with my husband, I decided to keep working up until my due date. We talked about the baby's gender as soon as we learned about my pregnancy. Will it be a girl or a boy? Which do you prefer?
I want a boy.
It's my first pregnancy, so my husband is looking after me carefully and always helps around the house.
You should rest, Sherry. I'll do the dishes.
I can do it. Don't worry. He's a really good husband. Thanks to his support, my pregnancy hasn't been so hard. My belly grew bigger over time. One day, I took the train to work like usual, but my fare card didn't seem to work properly when I tried to pass the turnstile. A station staff saw me. He called me over and said,
I saw you try to dodge the fare.
"What? I didn't try to do anything. Something's wrong with my fare card."
You expect me to believe that?
I'm telling you the truth. My card wasn't working.
I'll remember your face and hand you over to the police if I catch you again.
I was so upset about being wrongly accused by him. I spent the rest of the day feeling awful, so I immediately complained to my husband when he came home at night. Isn't that ridiculous?
Absolutely! How can he accuse you without even checking the card? I'll make a complaint to the station.
It's fine. I just needed to get it off my chest. I felt better after talking to my husband. Everything went back to normal, and I slowly forgot about that unpleasant incident. The other day, at the same train station, I found a portable music player and brought it to the customer service. The same station staff who accused me of fare dodging was on duty. Oh no, it's him again. I've been trying to avoid station staff ever since I was falsely accused last time. But because I needed to hand in the music player, I went to him anyway. Excuse me, I explained to him and showed him the music player. To my surprise, he replied,
Oh, you're the fare evasion person from last time.
I already told you last time my fare card didn't work. I just want to turn in the music player I found just now.
You found it? Where did you find it? Did you steal it but got scared? Is that why you're returning it now? You tried to dodge fares before. You might steal things too.
How many times do I have to explain it to you?
I don't believe you. I'll hand you over to the police for fare evasion as well as stealing.
Excuse me? I didn't even understand how everything happened. The staff actually called the police. But I thought it could be a good chance to prove that he was wrong about me. I'd be able to finally prove my innocence with the police presence. Excuse me, I lost my music player in the station. Did someone find it and bring it to the lost and found? The owner of the music player came to the information desk, which helped prove that I didn't steal it. The police also said to the station staff,
Don't accuse someone so randomly.
I was so happy to hear that from the police. But when I was leaving the station, I saw the station staff glaring at me. Clearly, he was holding a grudge against me. I thought about complaining to my husband again, but I was worried he'd go find that station staff, so I decided to keep quiet because the police had already proven my innocence. Afterward, I tried my best to avoid that station staff when I took the train. My pregnancy went well as days went by. I started my maternity leave as I got closer to my due date, but I accidentally left something in the office, so I had to take the train to my company. While walking in the train station, I suddenly heard a muffled popping sound like a balloon popping in my body. Did my water just break? I felt a dull pain in my lower abdomen shortly after. Are you kidding me? My contractions started. It hurts so much I can't even move. At that point, one of the station staff members walked by me. Please, help me. I looked up and realized it was that station staff again.
You again? Seriously? You're blocking the passageway laying on the ground. Get up now!
Then he kicked me lightly in my back. I was in so much pain, so I hardly had any patience left. Please, call the ambulance, I muttered in a painful voice. Then the station staff saw a puddle of water under me.
Ew, gross! Did you pee yourself? Yuck!
No, it's...
Seriously, now we have to clean up the mess you made.
Please, call the ambulance now.
Fine, hold on.
I was relieved that he finally understood what was happening, but suddenly I felt water splashed on me. I was baffled, but then I saw the bucket in his hands.
Okay, the cleaning is done. Now get out of here.
I was dumbfounded and didn't understand his meaning, but my pain kept on getting worse. I felt so helpless and powerless, and was about to cry.
What the hell are you doing? She's pregnant! Are you alright, ma'am?
A man in his 40s saw us and walked up to me. Yeah, oh!
Your contractions started, right?
Yes.
I'll call the ambulance for you now. Don't worry. Why the hell are you standing there? Bring a towel or a blanket to keep her warm. Okay.
The station staff ran to the office and brought a blanket back. The man covered me with the blanket. The ambulance soon arrived and transported me to the hospital. Thanks to the man's help, I went into labor soon after I got to the hospital and gave birth to an adorable baby boy. Thank goodness everything went well. However, I couldn't forgive that station staff. I was so angry at him and wanted to go after him, but I couldn't leave the hospital right after giving birth. I also didn't feel like bringing my newborn to a crowded place like the train station. While I was still thinking about what to do, my husband made it to the hospital.
I'm so proud of you. You did so well. Our baby boy is just precious.
We chose not to know what we were having, but it's a boy just like you wished.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter as long as the baby is safe and healthy. By the way, there's a video I wanted to show you.
What video? YouTube?
Yeah, I watch videos on YouTube when I have time. My colleague told me about this video because it went viral. I recognized the train station in the video, so I got curious and watched it. Then I noticed it was you in the video, even though your face was blurred.
What? The video recorded what happened between the train station staff and the middle-aged man and myself. It also recorded the station staff splashing me with a bucket of water.
I was furious at first when I saw the video because whoever recorded this could have helped you instead of filming. But after this video went viral, people discovered which station it was, even though the staff's face was blurred. Many people have gone to the station and protested.
Really?
Yeah, he got fired immediately. After discussing with my colleague, we both think we should sue him. My boss told me about this very good lawyer he knows, so I contacted the lawyer when you were in labor.
I'm sorry I didn't discuss it with you before doing those. I didn't want you to be worried.
Did he do anything else to you? I'm not gonna let him off. I'll make him regret everything he's done to you.
My husband was enraged. Later, when I was busy caring for our newborn baby, we won the lawsuit against the train staff with the lawyer's help and received compensatory damages. The station staff became notorious because of the video. He had to go back to his parents' home in the countryside to hide from people's critique. But people in the countryside soon saw the video as well, and his parents severed ties with him. I cannot express my gratitude enough towards the man who helped me at the train station. If I ever see him again, I'll ask for his contact information and go thank him with my husband and newborn son. My name is Sadie. I got engaged to my fiancé a few months ago. We picked our wedding date and sent out invitations to our friends. Mabel, an old friend of mine, suddenly contacted me one day. Mabel and her boyfriend, Don, had a child during university. Mabel already had a job offer at the time, but she decided to turn down the offer to marry Don. She gave birth to the baby shortly after graduation and spent all her time caring for the baby.
Congratulations on your marriage, Sadie! You're finally married!
Thank you. How have you been? It must be difficult taking care of the baby.
My son has grown up quite a lot. It's not that exhausting anymore, but life is still difficult. So I'm thinking of starting a part-time job.
I see. Hope you can find a good job.
Thanks! By the way, the address on your wedding invitation, is that your new house?
Yes, we took the plunge and bought that house.
Wow, that's great! It's so nice to marry someone older than you and work for the government. I'm sick and tired of my husband's low wage.
Not really. We both have to work hard from now on to pay for the mortgage. Nothing's that easy in this world.
I see. Can I come visit next time? I really want to see your new house.
Of course. We live pretty close, right?
Yeah, I was surprised when I looked it up.
Great! Come over to my house next time. I can't wait to see you. A few days later, Mabel came to my new house with her son. I've only met her a few times after graduation, so it's been a while since I hung out with her.
Wow, your house is huge. It's so nice to start your newlywed life in a brand new house.
Thanks. Make yourself at home.
Oh, do you have the brochure of the wedding venue? I want to see it. Can I see the picture of your wedding dress too?
Oh, sure. Mabel asked every little detail about my wedding, and I answered her questions without thinking much about it. After that, we had a good time talking about our past. A few days later, my wedding planner called me. Hi, Miss Sadie. I have some good news for you. The date you want for your wedding has become available, so I moved your wedding to that day. You moved my wedding date? Yes, your wedding was on June 2nd, which is 6 months later. Didn't you want to move it to next month? What are you talking about? You called the other day and said something came up, so you wanted to bring the wedding forward, didn't you? You also told me that you were going to make changes to the guest list. Have you finalized the list yet? What? I have no idea what you're talking about! You also changed the cell phone number on your profile. I called that new number just now, but it went to voicemail, so I decided to call your home number instead. Wait a second! I seriously don't know what's going on! What? But you called us the other day and made all the changes, remember? I know, I never called them to make any changes. Could it be my husband? But he didn't mention anything the night before when we were talking about the wedding. So I asked the wedding planner if there was a mistake. It was obviously that whoever called them must have known about the details about my wedding. I'm sorry, could you please give me a second? I put the wedding planner on hold and looked for the folder of our wedding planning contract. As expected, the folder was empty. Hi, can you please tell me the new number on my profile? I think one of my friends posed as me and changed my wedding plan. Oh my god, are you serious? Anyways, could you please move my wedding back to its original date and change my guest list back? I couldn't believe what I just heard. After I finished talking to the wedding planner, I immediately called the new number on my profile. As expected, it was Mabel. She even got a new number so that she could steal my wedding. Mabel, what the hell did you do? What were you planning to do with my wedding? I can't believe you took everything from my wedding planner folder. You have some nerve calling my wedding planner pretending to be me.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
You can drop the act now. I got this number from my wedding planner. Didn't you tell her to contact you at this new number? I have enough evidence to prove it was you.
What? Did she call you? I told her to stop calling the old number. So useless.
She called me because you didn't pick up.
Huh? Really? I didn't get any... Oh...
Why did you do this to begin with? You better give me an explanation right now. Finally, Mabel gave in and started talking.
Why did I do this? I was envious after hearing about your wedding. I want to have my own wedding too.
Have your own wedding then. Why did you have to steal mine?
I don't have that kind of money. Didn't I tell you how low my husband's salary is? Besides, I've been a mother since I graduated university. I never had any time for myself. Do you even understand how hard it's been for me?
Maybe I was not sympathetic enough, but I thought, so what? Mabel had chosen her own path, and no one else should be responsible for her choices. Why don't you have a wedding after your son grows up then? I asked, but Mabel said she wanted to wear a wedding dress while she was still in her 20s.
Please, let me have your wedding.
She begged and cried over the phone. Are you done? For the last time, that's not going to happen. Do you understand? I refused her ridiculous request over and over, but she still wouldn't give up.
What does it matter to you? Your husband works for the government. I pay taxes to the government. Why can't you pay for my wedding?
Everyone pays taxes to the government. Mabel sighed and said,
You're a cold-hearted woman who wouldn't even help a friend in need.
If I'm a cold-hearted person, what does that make you then? A thief?
How can you call your friend a thief? I just wanted to have a wedding. That's it. I'm not attending your wedding. And that wedding dress you tried on? You don't even look good in it.
I see. That's wonderful. I don't want to see you at my wedding anyway. I'm happy you said it yourself.
What?
Also, I'll let your husband know what you said to me. I'll tell him you said you can't have the wedding you want because his salary is too low.
Wait, don't tell Don I said that. I didn't mean to say that. Please, aren't we friends?
I hung up when she was still yelling over the phone and called her husband Don. A few days later, Mabel and Don came to my house with the wedding planning documents and a gift to apologize. They told me how much they wanted to stay friends with me and be at my wedding, but I was not moved at all. I couldn't process the fact that she almost stole the most important day of my life. Our friendship ended when she decided to do that. I told them we would never be friends again. Mabel apologized several times after that, but I still didn't accept her apology. She kept calling until my wedding day 6 months later. Instead of phone calls, I got a letter from her. I opened the envelope and was surprised to see $300 cash inside. Seems like Mabel was still trying to get my forgiveness. It must be difficult for Don too. I hope one day he can try his best and give Mabel the wedding she's always wanted.
My name is Rachel Kelly. My ex-boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend, Thea. I met him at a group blind date event hosted by my friend. He was handsome, kind, and attracted every girl's attention. He's so handsome and kind-hearted, I probably don't even have a chance. I felt there was no way he'd go out with me, so I gave up from the beginning. But then,
You really don't have a boyfriend?
he started talking to me. Me? No, I don't.
I see. I find you pretty interesting. Would you like to go out with me sometime?
Yes! I couldn't believe he would ask me out, but there was no reason to say no, so I agreed immediately. About 6 months later, a friend who was also present at the blind date messaged me all of a sudden.
Hi, Rachel. Did you break up with that handsome guy?
What? No, we're still dating. I haven't told anyone this, but he proposed. We plan to get married next year. I replied in excitement.
Oh, I see. Well,
She seemed hesitant to finish her sentence, so I asked, why? Did something happen to him?
I saw him on my way home from dinner last night. He went into a hotel with Thea.
What? Thea? Are you sure? That can't be true. I just told Thea yesterday over the phone that he proposed to me. She even congratulated me. I don't think she would do that. Sadly, my friend was telling the truth. She sent me the photo she took when they were entering the hotel. So I confronted my ex-boyfriend with the photo, and he confessed right away. Why Thea?
I went out with her because she wouldn't stop hitting on me. I don't know how you guys can be best friends. You should stop being friends with someone like her.
He didn't seem to feel guilty at all. Then he added,
I thought you make a lot of money as a teacher, but I guess I was wrong. You always make me eat at home instead of going to the restaurants. I just feel like you're kind of stingy and boring.
in short, he wanted to break up with me because he got tired of me. Then he tried to snatch my phone from my hand and delete the photo. When I resisted, he punched me so hard that I had a black eye. Later, Thea called me crying.
I'm so sorry, Rachel. I couldn't forget about him after the blind date. I was so jealous of you. I don't think I'd get his attention, but I wanted to at least give it a shot. I asked him out to dinner, and he said okay. I was too excited and forgot about anything else.
Of course, Thea was not innocent. But all the same time, I was glad that I found the true nature of my ex-boyfriend before marrying him. It was all thanks to Thea, so I didn't blame her in the end. Later, I heard my ex-boyfriend was physically abusing Thea, but she was too scared to break up with him. I was dealing with problems at home all that time, so I didn't have the time and energy to worry about Thea. A year had passed by when I finally took care of my problem. I hadn't been in contact with my ex or Thea in the meantime. I only heard from my friends that my ex-boyfriend had multiple affairs and Thea got dumped. Later, I met the perfect guy and we got married quickly. Everything went great. One day, I got a call from Thea. She sounded distressed over the phone, so I decided to meet up with her. Turns out my ex-boyfriend and Thea were still contacting each other after they broke up. Thea even borrowed money from her parents to please him. Thea's parents were furious when they discovered the money she borrowed was all given to her ex-boyfriend. They stopped lending Thea money and told her not to return home until she paid all the money back to them. So she left her parents' house. She was also pregnant.
Rachel, what should I do? I can't raise a baby by myself.
She said while crying. If you think it's impossible for you to raise a child, then you probably should get an abortion. I felt like it was the only thing I could say in that situation, but Thea was angry at my reply.
How can you say something so cruel? The baby has done nothing wrong. He'll come back if he sees the baby's face. I know I can trust him because he chose me once.
I had already moved on and put the dark past behind me. But how would Thea know he'd go back to her? Only because he chose her once? Did she forget the fact that the same person chose me before her? Look what happened after. I guess it hardly matters now. But Thea was the one who asked my ex-boyfriend out when we were dating. What does she mean he chose her? What is she talking about? Wait, why am I wasting my time thinking about this? I calmed myself down. I'm sure I looked as silly as her just now, but she was busy crying and didn't notice anything. I looked at Thea's face while wondering what I should do. Suddenly, the word revenge came to my mind. I encouraged Thea. Yeah, I'm sure he still loves you, Thea. He'll come back to you in no time.
You think so?
Yeah, children are the secret weapon in fixing the bond between couples.
I never heard of that before. It seems too complicated for me to understand.
Well, I'm just saying that your child can act as a glue between you and him. He chose you, Thea. Remember that. It's the undeniable truth. So stop worrying and have some confidence in yourself. That's it. I know you'll be able to get him back. I felt like I could only say those with the help of alcohol. Of course, Thea didn't drink because she was pregnant. Thea looked relieved and said,
Thank you, Rachel. I'll try my best. It's so kind of you to help and support me even after what I did to you.
Then she teared up. Guess she didn't forget that she stole my ex-boyfriend after all. Later.
Why won't you meet with me? Are you worried about the baby? It's okay. You'll see when the baby's born that there's nothing to be afraid of. Don't worry and come back for the baby and me.
Thea went to my ex-boyfriend's work and tried to persuade him in front of his colleagues.
Hey, can we not talk about it now? I'm working!
He tried to turn Thea away, but it was already too late. After Thea left, forced to leave, he was called over by his boss.
I hate to interfere with your personal matters, but you probably should take responsibility and do the right thing.
Soon, everyone in the company started gossiping about him. He couldn't stand it anymore and quit his job. He found another job shortly after, but Thea followed him to his new company and did the same thing again. He couldn't take it anymore and eventually ran away. He never came back to Thea. Thea later became a single mother. I always wondered why Thea and my ex-boyfriend didn't get married. Then a close friend of my ex-boyfriend answered my question. Apparently, my ex-boyfriend got someone else pregnant at the same time. The woman demanded $50,000 compensation for not marrying her and another $100,000 for child support, so he had no choice but to get married to her. Of course, Thea had no idea about any of that. I don't know if Thea has persuaded her parents or put them under her control, but now she's living at her parents' house waiting for her ex-boyfriend's return. At this point, I don't even know who I want to get revenge on, my ex-boyfriend or Thea. Maybe I just thought I'd be satisfied to see them suffer a little. Thea has always been susceptible to brainwashing and tends to lose her sense of self. Because she believed what I said without a doubt, I started to feel bad for her innocent child and realized I had done a terrible thing. Now, the only time I hear from Thea is when she sends me Christmas cards every year. She always put her first name and my ex-boyfriend's last name on the card. She looks happy with her baby in the photo she sent. I guess I was a little relieved when I saw their smiles.
It was about 10-something years ago, but my ex-husband left me for another woman. I had twins around that time, and I was deeply shocked. Normally, people would get a lawyer and move on from there. But because I was shocked and caught up with twin brothers, I couldn't manage to find time to request alimony or child support. He was the type to have an affair. Obviously, he didn't worry about me or the kids at all, and I received nothing from him. Raising one child is already tough enough. Having twin brothers was beyond tough. And with the help of my family and my sister's family, I was able to raise them and live as well. However, because they were twins, they would get sick together. But one would be fine, and the other would be sick still, and it was chaos. Back then, there weren't a lot of friendly looks in the office for working mothers as well, and I am so grateful my family was willing to help. My sister had kids of her own, and when I couldn't do anything about work, she would look after them, and sometimes her children would be sick because of my kids. But my sister always said,
Kids get well pretty fast. You don't worry about it and get to work. Leave the twins to me.
And her husband also said,
We're family, so we'll support you every step of the way.
before I said anything to him. And so, with the help of my family, the twins grew up to become middle schoolers, when suddenly, my ex-husband contacted me. Because I was living very chaotically, I had forgotten to delete his number from my phone. I couldn't believe it when I saw his name. And when I picked up, he told me that his child that he had with his now wife, his affair partner, has a very serious disease that needs a transplant. They checked the parents, but they weren't able to meet the requirements, and so he wanted his other twin sons to help out. I obviously declined, and when my parents heard this, they were furious. And even my sister's side was angry too. It was rare for them to get that angry. Well, it wasn't a surprise. After my ex-husband left me and the kids, they all basically raised the twins. My parents had it rough too, and they gave us a lot of money too. A transplant meant that they would leave a scar on my kids. And because the twins were treasured by everyone in my family, I obviously declined. But he wouldn't budge and persuaded me to let them take an exam. Because they had exams coming up, I thought the best way to quiet him down was for them to take the exam, much like a regular health checkup. The results said that they matched about 75%. My ex-husband heard this and said,
That's my child! They're twins! So they're one and the same! Hooray!
and cheered aloud. They went on to say,
Our child is saved now! Thank God!
and
Let's move the transplant earlier!
all by themselves. But I stepped in and said, excuse me, but I don't plan on them accepting the transplant. Very quickly. You know, they're middle schoolers with entrance exams coming up. Transplants have heavy risks, so I never wanted them to accept it either way. When they heard me say this, they looked as if they didn't believe a word I said. A few moments later, his new wife grabbed me with a bright red face.
I know you hate us, but our child has nothing to do with this.
She said, but I laughed. Your husband abandoned my kids for a life with you and left nothing for us. The reason those two grew up so well was because of my parents and sister's family supporting us all the way. What happens to your child has nothing to do with my children, and they have their own futures. I can't let them take the risk of losing their lives as well. As I spoke, my voice became much more angry. I think that was everything I had bottled up inside of me. Then, my ex-husband got down to the ground and pleaded.
He's a child we finally got when I was 40 years old! Please!
And cried. I saw him cry, but felt next to nothing for him. In order to raise my kids, I cried much, much more than that. We had tough times just so you guys can live a happy one. I couldn't feel anything for tears that were very self-centered. I think they never thought about the fact that I would refuse, and fully thought that their child was saved before this conversation. His new wife was crying out loud, and my ex-husband was pleading,
Please! Please!
on repeat. My children have entrance exams. I can't make them go through surgery now. What are you guys gonna do if something happens to my kids? What will you do if your child is saved and mine are damaged? This isn't a joke. I want to save my children, like you want to save your own.
I see you're trying to kill our son. You must be proud of yourself, huh?
His wife said. I honestly felt next to nothing at this point. And for them to contact us right as my twins turned 15 just made me sick to my stomach. I wonder what they thought my kids were, since they didn't contact us at all before that. I got upset about their attitude and said, Is that the attitude you take to someone you're trying to convince? If you're going to get upset over the person who couldn't make a healthy baby, I said, knowing I shouldn't have. And this caused huge damage on her. I wasn't planning to get revenge or anything. But she stole my husband when I had twins, and she must have been proud of herself then. And their actions all led to this moment. So they get what they deserve. I don't have anything against their child, and I honestly don't know if I can say the same thing once I see him. But to have the chance that my own kids would be at risk after all that our family went through to raise them, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself for that decision. And the only person that can protect my kids is myself. I hope your child gets better. Goodbye. When I was about to leave, his wife came and almost attacked me. And while I tried to run away, she hit me with her hand and left a bruise on my face. My ex-husband came to say something, but I said, I'm not going to request an alimony for this. So please, never, ever get close to me or my kids again. Ever since you left me and the kids, we're strangers now. And left the receipt for the twins' checkup. I haven't heard from them since, so I don't know what happened to their child. I explained to them what had happened after everything ended. They looked like they thought about something, but I told them I didn't want them to risk their lives at this stage of their lives. And they understood my decision. And they were surprised to learn about their new younger sibling too. But luckily for them, they were able to complete their entrance exams and go to their dream schools. My family and my sister's family were all so happy for them. The reason they have grown up to be amazing kids was all thanks to my family and my sister's family. I understand that there aren't a lot of cases where a divorce due to an affair goes well. But if he had supported us with child support, then things may have ended differently. And I still can't believe something like that can happen in real life. But it was all real. And the reason things ended like this was because of their own misdeeds.
Many years ago, when I was a teacher, I had to go home late one day. Even though I had a driver's license, I walked to work every day because I lived close to the school and wanted to get more exercise. I had never left work so late before that day. Sometimes I had to bring work home, but that was about it most of the time. There was a small road that led up to my house from the main road, and the small road goes through the park. The park looked normal in the morning, but because there was no road lamps, I could barely see anything in the evening. That night when I was walking across the park, suddenly someone knocked me down from the side. After I fell down on the grass, the man who struck me started to press his body on me with force. I immediately realized I was being attacked. I couldn't breathe and my blood froze. This park usually had many people, but it was late at night. I knew I ran into a pervert lurking in the dark. I tried to resist and fight back with all my force, but he was too strong. Then I remembered the school had safety and crime prevention lessons not long ago. One of the police officers who came that day shared some tips with us. He said,
When a stranger attacks you, try your best to scream loudly so people can notice you. But it can also be challenging because people tend to lose their voice when they're nervous or feel reluctant to scream, "Help!" Therefore, when you're under attack, it's always a good idea to scream something easy and familiar to you.
It's true that I've never been used to shouting out loud or screaming for help. So, when I was being attacked that day, the only words that came to my mind were, "Attention! At ease!" Because the school's sports day was coming up, I yelled those words during PE classes over and over. So, I had no problem yelling these words. The man didn't expect me to scream those words at all, so he was stunned for a moment. I kept screaming those words mindlessly in panic. The man must have been perplexed when his victim suddenly started yelling, "Attention! At ease!" out of nowhere. I tried to push him away and escape, but he still didn't let go of me and was too strong. I struggled desperately and tried my best not to let him hold my hands down. At the same time, I didn't stop screaming, "I said at ease!" He had to cover my mouth with one of his hands. So he only had one hand left to restrain me, which meant I had a better chance to escape. Because of the difference in strength, it was not easy for me to escape, but he was also desperate because of my screaming, so the struggle continued for a while. Now that I think about it, I was lucky he didn't punch me that night. I could scream at the top of my lungs when he attacked me, but if he decided to start punching me, I would have no chance to fight back at all. The result would have been much more terrible if I lost my ability to scream. The words I screamed were so different and unexpected for him, and I believe that was the main reason I was saved. I screamed and screamed, fighting bravely against a perpetrator. A man who was walking his dog late at night and a jogger heard my screams and came to help me. After I saw them coming in my direction, I started to yell, "Help! Help!" instead. The perpetrator jumped away from me when the dog walker shined his flashlight on me. He got scared by the two men who came to help, so he tried to run away. Then the jogger yelled, "Hey, stop!" He went after the perpetrator. The dog walker joined the chase after tying the dog's leash to a tree. When they caught the perpetrator, he shouted,
Let go of me, damn it!
The dog walker immediately called the police, and the police arrived in no time. After the police came, they talked to the two men who helped me. Since it was a serious case, the police sent a female officer to talk to me and brought me back to the station. The perpetrator was arrested. I had some scratches and bruises, and my clothes were ripped, but my injuries were not serious. The police told me I did a good job. They had said it was right for me to scream for help. However, my friends, family, and coworkers were all worried to death. The perpetrator was later prosecuted and went to prison. The jogger who helped me later told me,
When I heard a young woman screaming, At ease! At ease! At ease! I said at ease! Late at night, I actually had no idea that someone was in trouble.
Of course, I was also a bit embarrassed, but I laughed hard when I heard this from him.
I'm glad you're okay. How long have you been screaming for?
I have no idea. I was too scared that I couldn't even remember much. One thing I know for sure is that my throat was hurting so much the next day.
I bet. You were desperately screaming for help. You did good.
Thank you so much for your help. I thanked them. People around me all worried that I would be traumatized by the attack. They even worried that I'd become androphobic because of the incident. Even though it was an attempt, I have to say I was frightened and felt utterly helpless during the attack, especially when facing the physical difference in strength between male and female. But somehow, I gained the courage when I shouted those unexpected but familiar words. The police patrolled the area near the park for a while after my attack. The city also installed road lamps to prevent similar incidents from ever happening again. Never have I ever been so glad that I'm a teacher. The safety and crime prevention class was called just in time, and it actually saved me. When I went to the police station after the attack, I saw the police officer who came to our school. As soon as he saw me, his eyes widened and he asked,
Oh my god! Are you okay?
He heard about what happened to me. I told him, thanks to what you taught us during the lesson, I was able to help and protect myself. Thank you. He seemed surprised to hear what I said. After that, we started dating, and he took good care of me. Ever since we started dating, he always reminded me.
You should drive if you're going to be late. And I'll go with you if you want to go out and exercise. That'll make me less worried.
So I started to drive to work. Sometime later, we got engaged, married, and became a family. My husband was genuinely shocked by what I told him at the police station that day. He couldn't believe what he taught at an elementary school could save a single woman's life. Now that I think about it, it still feels unreal that I was saved by attention and at ease. But for me, those words have become special and unforgettable because they marked the story between my husband and me. My husband also taught me some safety and crime prevention lessons at home. Those lessons even included self-defense and basic combat skills. I would probably be able to fight back or even capture the perpetrator if something happened again.
Focus on protecting yourself and leave the rest to the police. Don't do anything dangerous.
He reminded me repeatedly. By the way, I've never shouted, "Attention!" and "At ease!" to the kids at school the way I yelled at the perpetrator. I'll never do that to my students. That's for sure.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.